Ben Roethlisberger just said what a lot of Pittsburgh fans have been whispering, and a few old-time Steelers legends have been shouting for weeks. Maybe it's time for a clean house. He didn't mince words on his podcast, and he even floated the idea that Mike Tomlin might be better served with a fresh start somewhere else, even joking that Tomlin could go coach at Penn State. Reuters. This isn't theater for clicks. It matters because Big Ben isn't some neutral voice. He's the man who quarterbacked Tomlin's early Super Bowl run and lived through the highs and the growing pains of this franchise. When he suggests mutual parting as an option, it lands differently than the typical hot takes. Roethlisberger framed it as respect. You don't fire a guy like Coach Tomlin, but as a candid plea for what might be best for the team and the coach both. TwoBillsDrive.com. So why is this exploding into a full-on debate in Pittsburgh? Start with the scoreboard. The Steelers have underwhelmed, and Sunday's 26-7 loss to the Buffalo Bills felt like a microcosm of the problems. A team that can't finish, a coaching staff struggling to adapt in-game, and a fan base that's finally losing patience. During that game, "Fire Tomlin" chants echoed through Acrisure Stadium, the kind of public frustration that rarely surfaces in Steeler Nation but can't be ignored now. Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Then toss in the echoes from former teammates. James Harrison, another player whose voice carries in Pittsburgh, went even further, calling Tomlin not a great coach and questioning whether Tomlin's teams get the most out of their players. Harrison's critique hits at the heart of the issue that drives this whole conversation. Is the problem X's personnel or Y's leadership? Harrison insists it's the latter. Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Here's the hard, honest takeaway. Tomlin's resume is undeniable. 19 seasons, never a losing year, a Super Bowl, and a standard of stability few franchises enjoy. But stability and success are not the same thing as forward motion. The NFL is relentlessly iterative. Schemes age, opponents adapt, personnel windows close, and long tenures have a shelf life. Roethlisberger's suggestion isn't personal demolition. It's a recognition that sometimes legacy is best preserved when a coach chooses to move on at the right moment. Reuters, let's be practical about what a change would mean for Pittsburgh. Replacing a coach isn't an instant fix. You trade stability for the gamble of a new voice, a new culture, and new schematic wrinkles. And the franchise that's been as consistent as the Steelers risk short-term turbulence. But the alternative, doing nothing and hoping for a course correction from the same playbook and the same staff, has left fans watching a trend line they don't like. Declining performance in critical moments, close losses piling up, and a sense that the team is treading water. That's why Big Ben's idea of a mutual split is worth considering. It's not about burning bridges. It's about creating an exit that saves face and preserves legacy while giving a new leader room to revive the roster. Ben framed it as, don't fire him, help him find the next chapter. That's a softer sell than instant termination, and for a Hall of Fame candidate like Tomlin, it's an elegant middle ground. TwoBillsDrive.com. Now to the skeptics. Changing head coaches midstream is messy and not a magic wand. The Steelers' roster has real flaws, offensive line inconsistencies, quarterback instability, and a defense that can look brilliant one week and flat the next. And remember, Tomlin's teams have won consistently enough to make playoff appearances, even if postseason success has been scarce. So if ownership were to pull the trigger, they'd better have a plan, a successor with vision, a supporting staff upgrade, and the cap flexibility to rebuild around core pieces. For the players, and here's the human side, this public debate matters. Leadership transitions create uncertainty in locker rooms and can fracture chemistry if not handled carefully, but they also create opportunities. A new voice can unlock players who've been underutilized, reset accountability, and clear the fog that sometimes creeps in after long tenures. That's exactly the argument Roethlisberger hinted at. A fresh start could be the shot in the arm both the coach and the team need. Reuters. If you're wondering what the realistic path looks like, first, the franchise evaluates the rest of the season. If losses continue and the team drifts out of contention, a mutual parting becomes cleaner. If the Steelers rebound, the argument for continuity strengthens. Meanwhile, expect the noise to grow. Local media will parse every press conference, former players will weigh in, And the national narrative will turn Pittsburgh into a high-stakes case study of when loyalty meets results. Here's what I'd watch for next. Are there changes in game planning and play calling? Do coordinators get shuffled? How does Tomlin respond publicly to the criticism, defiant, reflective, or conciliatory? And critically, do players start to play with more urgency and clarity, or does the noise deepen the slump? Those signals will tell us whether this is a temporary storm or the beginning of a structural pivot. At the end of the day, this is a conversation about stewardship. Mike Tomlin built a standard in Pittsburgh. Ben Roethlisberger helped define that era. For fans, the choice is painful. Honor the past or act to protect the future. Roethlisberger's point was simple. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for a legend is to let him choose his next chapter before the world chooses it for him. Reuters. So where do you stand? Keep the ship steady and trust Tomlin to write it, or let the franchise turn the page and hope a new voice finds the spark that's been missing? Either way, this is not a debate that's ending anytime soon. And for a city that breathes Steelers football, the stakes couldn't be higher.